We have Lenah Mati. She's been here before. Karibu sana wakili.
Thank you.
Then we also do have Moses Gachugi. He is the Secretary General Kenya Moja Movement Party. Secretary, karibu tena sana.
Asante sana.
Let's get down to business.
All right.
Are the youth really involved in policy making? Do they even know the process? Do they even know what policy is all about? Let me start with you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the invitation. And as you've said, my name is Moses, the Secretary General of Kenya Moja Movement Party.
Right.
I think things are changing very quickly in this country. Before, we didn't have a lot of people very interested in policy making, what's going on in government. There was a carefree attitude. We just vote for them and we move on with life. But you've seen in the last couple of years that the youth have woken up. They are taking the country. They are very interested in what's happening. They are reading bills, analyzing for themselves. So I think things are changing very quickly. And you can even see, not just in Kenya, even in our neighboring countries, people want to take charge of their destiny.
Yes.
They realize that the country belongs to us. And there is nothing for us without us. And we can't sit on the fence anymore. I think there's a positive change.
Yes.
A very good one.
Right.
Yeah.
Wakili, same question to you.
Thank you so much, Mbuvi. Thank you, City, for having me. Just like my brother has said,
yes,
there is a sudden spike, especially with this generation, in interest in issues to do with social justice, in issues to do with governance. And I think even some of these things, when something has been passed, the youth are up, they're up on their arms. And there has also been the use of social media to do the activism and to reject, to propose, to call for the prohibition of certain things, which is really a good thing, because in the past we didn't see anything like that. I always say that the millennials, I don't know whether you're a millennial, but
I am a millennial.
The millennials were so much pro status quo, and they felt like they didn't want things that could disrupt their normal lives, so they wouldn't question. They would just probably sit down, wait for the things
the millennial is reacting.
Let the millennial react.
No. I agree with you to a certain extent, of course. The reason why we were very quiet on some of these issues is not because that we do not have a problem with them, but we find a different way of approaching it. So, for example, if I see a lion in front of me, you see, a Gen Z will go and fight that lion.
That's true.
Right?
That is not true.
Bro, so nimalize statement yangu.
No, see, I'm contributing to it, yo.
So, a Gen Z will go and fight that lion.
Yes.
Mimi, I'll just look for a different route. Niache hiyo lion niendelee kukaa hapo na maisha yangu itaendelea. Mind my business. So that is unfortunately the approach that we are. So when a lot of millennials, when you see them being quiet, they're not quiet because they are not okay with the situation. It's just that tumeshavumilia mengi sana. Hii tunaonanga siku hizi ni kidogo sana.
And that's very true, Movie. You guys, I find you guys are more of dialogue oriented. As you are more of, we want to use force, we want something that we want to be heard.
Yes.
And you find that nowadays, unfortunately, the way the route the most of the nations are taking with regards to democracy, that dialogic conversation is not giving any kind of effect.
Right.
Even right now, we are seeing what is happening with TZ, because people feel like we've had conversations, we've not seen them materialize into anything. We've talked to our members of parliament. I'm sure there are leaders that you can be able to approach, and sometimes you ask them on a personal capacity, why are you doing this and this, and it still doesn't bear anything. So that's why the Gen Zs feel like for us to be able to achieve whatever it is we need to be a little bit aggressive. And you'd also realize that statistics show that there has been a rise in openness of the young people to undemocratic means of achieving things, because they feel like this democratic way is not leading us anywhere.
Let me ask you something.
That's
when
true.
You say dialogue has been had, what do you mean?
When I say dialogue has been
had, that people have, and you said the sentence was the dialogue doesn't seem to produce results. So I'm asking, when you say this dialogue that has been had, what do you mean?
Dialogue. I'm not saying about the national dialogue that was proposed by the former Prime Minister. I'm talking about conversations that we've had over time. The fact that we've had even barazas, even just, I mean, on a daily basis, I always see civil societies coalescing. I always see members of parliament saying that today I met so and so. They're having conversations, but these conversations are not producing, or they're not giving any kind of effect to the same. So we keep having, we're having conversations.
Actually, the conversations do have effects. They may not be the effects you desire, but they do. For instance, Parliament have conversations, don't they?
They do.
Yes, ostensibly on our behalf, but most times we disagree with them. We don't think that they're actually representing us. Now, the dialogue that you speak of, have the youth been involved in these discussions?
A lot. We have been involved. Me, if I count how many discussions I've gone to, that relate to, let's say, for instance, about representation of the youth. We've had this conversation with political parties, but still, we are not seeing, I mean, okay, you're saying that probably they give effect to some extent, but for us, they're not giving the effect that we would want them to give.
What would you like to see for you to feel that conversation is actually making sense and that the discussions that you've had are worthwhile?
Okay, let me just give an example of inclusion of the youth into political parties. If we could actually see a spike or more youth included or given party tickets, political party tickets, to be able to buy nominated. Given same
as given.
Okay, yeah, given political party tickets.
Don't let city intimidate you. Stick to your guns.
Am I intimidating in any way?
You're making a change answers 3 times. City na kuona.
There's a reason why I'm asking these questions.
Yes.
I want to understand where she's coming from, and I want to understand what she means, because she's saying something, but I want to be certain that I've understood what it is she's seeking to communicate. That's why I'm asking the questions. They're not facetious questions. If I was asking facetious questions, you would know. This is not one of those times.
Okay.
Yes.
Siti, let me give you another example.
Yes.
Last year, one of our demands as the youth was that we needed to have competent people, especially in the cabinet, because we felt like the people that we had then, I remember there was a minister who used to really flaunt his luxuries, what he has worn and all those things.
He still does, but
okay, I don't know. Kuna wakili, by the way. Anyway, so we called for the president to give or to have new members in cabinet that are competent, that would deal with the issues that we are facing as a country. But what we saw is that the president seemed to have really played us. He sacked them and then brought in the same people but in different capacities. So if you ask me, was there any kind of change there? I don't think there was any kind of change. And this was even after we've had a conversation with the president on Twitter. I didn't see any kind of change.
You see, I now understand what you're saying. You were talking to a politician.
Yes.
And you're talking about changes that are political in nature. How well do you understand politics, especially the politics of Kenya? And how well do you understand how politicians go about this business of politics?
Perhaps I'll ask Moses to answer that one, and I'll give you a follow-up question. So over to you.
Yes. You've asked how do we understand
politics. How do you understand this framework of our politics?
Okay.
Yes, and how it is that we...
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Understanding it and how it is that this political animal actually functions, how it works.
Of course, we're in the wild, and the political animals must survive. What we basically understand is that politics is about interest. So the reason why the president did what he did was to take care of his interest. And you look at his cabinet, it is full of very specific interest, which he's achieving day by day. But beyond their interest, I think what she's saying is, did we elect you for yourself, or we elected you to serve the country? So that if we want a competent CS, definitely you're not short of options in this country. You have very intelligent people who can work. And for example, since this cabinet was put, if you ask any Kenyan outside there to mention to you how many CSs they know of head, they will struggle. You can't even trace who is the CS for transport, environment. They don't talk. You don't hear policy. all you see is a lot of PR every day.
Are
So
they supposed to talk though?
I
Yes.
think they should,
Yes, they are.
because they have that responsibility. For example, if it's the Minister for Transport, look at the number of issues we are having. Even as late as this accident we had in Kwale.
Yes.
No comment. No
Statement.
No statement. A lot of silence. I don't know whether they are being intimidated, because I realized the more they talk, you are cut off. If you look like you're shining a lot, you put on the side. So I think they're trying to balance and survive for themselves, but I think a CS should be able to guide the country.
Okay.
We shouldn't be seeing the president articulating issues that belong to a CS, launching some projects that truly not even the CS belong to a PS. And unfortunately, it's been a lot of one-man show. And that you have 22 people who can help you deliver. That's why she say we were expecting people who can work for the country. The rewards will come later. How much can you achieve in this world? You understand what I'm saying? When you're given that opportunity by the country through the president, you have such a golden opportunity to prove that Kenya can change. Right now the conversation is Kenya needs to look like Singapore, but who will achieve that? Who will do it? Yeah.
You know that Singapore story?
Yeah.
It's told over
But it has worked
And over.
in Singapore, right?
and over. Yes.
Yeah.
How did it work?
Because if you look at Singapore, I can't remember his name, but the Lee Kuan Yew,
Yes.
what he did is that first of all he put the interests of the country first,
He did.
and he ensured that institutions are working. For example, their EACC there is very serious. If they say we are on your case, you know things are bad.
Bro na nyonga.
You'd rather resign than allow those guys to come after you. Well, one of the things I even noticed in Singapore, the president said people will not chew in public. Just simple.
Oh yeah, there is no
You
chewing
don't
gum
chew
sold
there.
in
You don't
Singapore.
see that funny. And
Forget chewing. It's
Yeah.
not even sold in the
it's
country.
not even sold.
Yeah.
So if you can achieve something as small as that, assuming you just said everybody must put on their seatbelts. We had that with our former minister.
Actually, it goes back to what Lenah was saying. What we don't speak of loudly enough
Yeah.
is the people who Lee Kuan Yew worked with.
Yes.
If you knew who they were and the expertise they brought into that particular government at the time when they were setting all those things. Well, this was a fishing village
Yeah.
perched on a rock. Okay?
Yeah.
Nothing to
They
speak
had
of.
no food, nothing.
Yes, and these fellows were actually in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay? There is a very sizable Chinese population in Malaysia. But these people had the same commitment. Same. Now, it may surprise you that at independence, that first cabinet we had were not that different. They were actually nationalists. If you look at just the things that were done within the first 2 to 3 years after independence, they were actually quite phenomenal. Because those leaders in this country were determined to prove that the African could actually run his country. Then the rot set in, but that's a story for another day. The people who are willing to roll up their sleeves, you find somebody who was an expert in issues of foreign affairs. He was in charge. And he indeed. So the policies of that country regarding foreign affairs was written by that person and his team. There were individuals who were given tasks, and some got lost along the way. And they were close people. They were jailed. Now, if I bring this discussion to the youth and the things they want, the conversation about how it is you get the changes that you want. You've expressed yourself with protests. It is within your right to do so. But when you say you are leaderless, we have a problem.
Thank you, Siti. And I always love that conversation because I don't just blame the political quarters, I also blame us as the youth. One of the things that I find we actually make probably mistake, and let me start with the strength. We as a youth, we have, there is consensus and there is unity in numbers. But unfortunately, there is no unity in agenda. And if there is unity in numbers and there is no agenda, then that the numbers actually become like a weakness. It's a youth curse because you could have the numbers, and because of the numbers you can be able to throw your weight towards something, towards a particular leader and all that, which is a good thing. But if you have the numbers and you cannot be able to decide on a common shared goal, then you're not going to achieve anything. If you look at some of the uprisings that have happened, right from the Arab uprising, you go to is it Taman Square or what?
Yes, Temple Square.
Yes.
The square was Tenement Square. Tenement Square. Yes.
The protest that happened there.
In China.
Yes.
There's a Tenement Square, yes.
You even go to countries like Morocco, you go to, such kind of countries, you realize that the protests died without any kind of progress. And this is because, you see, as a country, we don't, just like he has said about Singapore and you've added, we don't have a solid democracy. We don't have a mature democracy such that the moment that I say I've said that maybe Mbuvi is corrupt, Mbuvi is not going to resign simply because I've said that he's corrupt. We saw what happened in one of the county governments that was being investigated by a particular committee. And even the members of parliament went there together with the allied institutions, and they went there to look at this hospital that was being claimed to be a level 5 or level 4 hospital that apparently a consultant had been hired to investigate into it. And when they went there, they even found it is level 0. It's not even level 5, it's level 0. So after that, I was expecting that at least proceedings would be prosecution proceedings would be begun towards this county government. But what I saw happen is that the members of parliament, together with the people from EACC, told them, when we come here next time, we want to see change. Essentially, it was like the teacher who tells you there's room for improvement. Next time, make sure there's room. Make sure you improve. And so, because in as much as we have the laws, and that the laws are not, the adherence and the enforcement of the laws is a problem. So the responsibility falls back on us, such that if you've said we've resisted, then we also need to come with reforms. Resistance without reforms amounts to nothing. And yes, as you're saying, I feel like the youth, that's where we are going wrong, because we are coming up and say, we don't like this, we don't like this.
Actually, you're not going wrong. No. There's something called a life path.
Okay.
You people are following a certain life path. Throughout the centuries that humankind has been in existence, the youth have been responsible for some of these major changes. But every once in a while, the winds of change are apparent. Now, on this continent, they are very apparent because historically, there are more young people than ancient crocodiles like myself. You are more. Whether we like it or not, it's just a simple truth.
Yes.
You are more.
Yes.
And you're going to continue being more because we are dying off.
Yes.
Okay? Now, what that therefore means is that the very essence of change is actually in your hands. Even if you just sat and did nothing, we'll die off. The only problem is there may be no country by the time you people are taking over.
Yes.
But this conversation would not have been possible if you had not done what you did. You took a step. That is usually the right thing to do. You take a step. You don't talk, you take a step. Then the learning begins. And that learning is what one must take seriously. Because the learning happens because you look back and you say, probably you made a mistake. At the time you're doing it, you didn't see it as a mistake.
Yes.
Every time a movement is made in a certain direction, your knowledge base expands. You now know better. There was talk about political parties and the way they are. You are spot on. They're not briefcase cases. They are properties of individuals.
Yes.
Yes. And